Time.
Hold on. Let's do this.
Good evening and happy Monday and welcome to Sports Gladiators. I am Mr. Knast, joined in the top right-hand corner by Mr. Mike Russo as usual. And to my left, we let him out of the closet for a week. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Ron Tessing.
Thanks,
Ron's the man right there.
So now that everyone knows who we have locked in the closet, he's out in the daylight. That's why he's wearing glasses, because his eyes are still adjusting to the light. He is alive. He is well. He is with us.
How you doing, everybody? Great to be here.
Yeah, Ron. All right, here it goes.
And our friend Master Chief, as always.
Before every broadcast, it's the Master Chief.
Yeah, we always say hi to Master Chief and we salute him, thank him for his presence, and rock and roll.
He protects us.
So Mike's going to start the show. I'm going to finish eating my dinner, so if I'm quiet for a couple minutes, I apologize. But these two can handle it just as well as anybody, so the floor is yours.
Ron, we talked about the Eagles beforehand. You want to jump into that game, buddy?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's hard to say anything really too much negative about what happened Sunday. I mean, anytime you can go and hold Derrick Henry to 38 total yards, had a bunch of turnovers. I mean, defense was solid. Special teams was improved. They finally let Nakobe Dean loose, and he had led the team in tackles this week, which was good to see. Just a lot of positives, and yay, 11-1. That's correct. That's
it's awesome.
All this chatter about San Francisco, and then their unfortunate problem they're going to run into at this point. And
who's their third string, Ron?
Actually, right now, the guy that finished up the game was Brock Purdy.
Yep, he's a rookie at Iowa State this year. So
he's apparently going to be the starter for the remainder of the season. They did pick up Josh Johnson, I believe, as who was on a practice squad. Yeah. I think might have been in New Orleans, and they picked him up as a backup to back up Purdy for the rest of the year. There's other people out there chatting about, chirping about different people that are out there. People are talking names like Winston and
what about
Kaepernick. I mean, somebody put up there. Somebody said Drew Brees. I mean, no, that's not what's going to happen.
I do want to ask you a question, Ron. Now that Baker Mayfield's been released, do you think the 49ers explore that?
I don't think so. I mean, the guy that they picked up has experience in their system. I mean, it's very much at this point a system-based success that they've had recently. So I think that if they just stay with what they got, and if this kid can just hold his own and just be a game manager, maybe they still hang in there somewhere. But I don't think they're the dominant team that they've been up to this point.
Do you think they still make the playoffs? That's the biggest question. Or do they tail off and does Seattle catch them for the division?
I really don't see Seattle. I mean, Seattle's playing well. I mean, Geno Smith is having a career year.
Yeah, let me interject right there. Did you expect that kind of season out of Geno Smith, John or Ron?
I didn't, personally. I thought they were going to go a complete rebuild. They traded their franchise quarterback in the offseason. They got a boatload of picks. They gave up. They got back. Not like I think it was just draft picks in return. So, and you get Drew Luck. So you're thinking, okay, maybe we're going to have a good quarterback battle, Geno Smith and Drew Luck, but just throw away the season and focus on next year now that we have all this draft capital going forward.
John or Ron, what do you think about that?
I don't think anybody could have predicted that he'd be as good as he is. I mean, I think they were hoping that he'd be, manageable. I mean, he is cut a little bit out of the cloth of quarterbacks that they've had success with in the past. So I think from that respect, and then, hey, they were probably just as surprised as anybody. And then when they started adding other pieces, like when picking up McCaffrey was, amazing. And, straightening out the contract stuff with Samuel. And, once that all started to come together, I think that was a big part of why they're as successful as they are right now.
Wow. I don't know. Is it now just to talk about their franchise quarterback that they got rid of? Now, do you think he's like, is it the system in Denver? Is it him in the system? Why do you think he hasn't started producing some numbers, Ron?
Who, Russell Wilson?
Yeah, for Denver.
I know. It's hard to say. I mean, he hasn't really played anywhere near the level that he played in San Francisco. So, I mean, was he a product of the system? I mean, possibly. I mean, I think that overall, I think I don't think he's lost a step physically. I think mentally is probably most of it. And if he's not the sharpest tool in the drawer and he's not picking up their schemes, maybe it lies in them having to simplify the offense in Denver to make him be more successful.
Do you think that, you mentioned the system and everything like that, do you think he's lost a step or lost a little bit of what he had?
I don't think he's physically lost too much. I mean, it seems like his arm strength is there. I mean, he doesn't really have a very good offensive line. I mean, that's part of the issue, I'm sure. But in the same respect, he's not running around like he was in San Francisco.
Ron, can you see these things that pop up?
Yeah. Hi, Lisa. How you doing? I saw Kenny in there too.
Yeah.
Great to see you guys.
Oh, look at these people. Yeah, there's Pauline. Welcome, Pauline.
Hey, Pauline.
Look at that.
This must really be a Ron Tessing show because everyone come to see him.
It's a Ron Tessing show, baby.
Mike, we should just go off the air and let Ron handle this. I think he would do just fine.
Yeah, Ron's great. Ron, question though. One more question about Denver. Do you think that I don't see him scramble as much as he did with Seattle. Is that by design of the system, or he just doesn't, I don't know, run his, I just want to ask you that.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like he's definitely not, that gunslinger type approach that he had in San Francisco. I mean, part of that is the fact that he's running for his life, because that offensive line is truly that bad in Denver. I mean, they're pitiful. I mean, he's got people up in his grill almost every play, so I think that that's part of the issue, that if he's not comfortable in the system, he doesn't feel as comfortable knowing where everybody's going to be. So therefore he's reluctant to put himself out there and maybe expose himself to injury at this point.
Yeah. You also got to keep in mind too, Mike, that Denver has a first-year head coach, and Nathan Hackett, who's always been just an offensive coordinator wherever he's coached, Green Bay, teams before that. And now you're bringing in a franchise quarterback who's played for one team for the last 12 years. There's going to be growing pains, yeah, but has Russell Wilson also maybe lost a step? Sure. But does he have more weapons in Denver than he did in Seattle? I think so.
What's up, Kelsey?
Kelsey's in the building. That's my cousin Kelsey, Ron. So
hi, Kelsey.
She's from Broncos country, so she might get a little upset with some of our talk.
Boo. That's all right.
That's right.
Yeah, Ron, Bobby Kraut, that's his favorite protein.
Yeah, I know.
His teams are all over the place. He's got then he has the Cleveland Indians, then Miami Hurricanes. I'm like, he's all over the place with his teams he likes. That's funny. I just want to throw that out there because he's funny about that shit.
Hey, go Canes. I got no problem with go Canes, man.
Ooh, you don't. Hey, Ron, you ever seen the 30s for 30s about them? ESPN 30s for 30s? I
saw the one with the that went back to the camouflage and all that stuff. The Jerome Brown and, back in that day. I remember seeing one that had that in it. So I got to go back and watch them again. I lived it. I didn't have to watch it.
You lived it.
I was there, man.
You were there, Ron.
Yeah, that's where I went to school.
Yeah. It's Oh, that's right. You told me that. I was surprised. Now, just a quick question. Justin Fields, did you see him running for his life?
Yeah, that's
every
normal.
game he has to run for his freaking life. Every play, it seems.
Well, he has to run, but he's also a mobile quarterback, so he's trying to run to get the yards. Like he had another 56-yard touchdown run versus Green Bay yesterday. Granted, they lost, but
yeah, it's
I don't
just
think
so
he
funny
can
to watch
sustain
it.
that long term, though.
No, not the kind of numbers he's putting up with that. Eventually, they'll have a spy on him. You know what I mean, Ron? Eventually.
Well, wait till he tries it against the Eagles in 2 weeks.
Yeah. You remember
how that works.
Michael Vick, you remember when we put Javon Curse as his spy? Do you remember that at all, Ron?
Yeah, Javon looked real good when he was like his head was turning as Vic was running by him.
Yeah, Vic wasn't as super loose back then, or with us. I mean, in that game.
Well, that was if you're talking the 2004 NFC Championship game. They had Javon Curse on the one side spying him, and then they also had Derek Burgess on the other side doing the spy. They were trying to keep Vic in between the tackles that game, and they succeeded.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So
definitely. Back to the Eagles game that we started with. Ron, were you surprised at the Eagles' inability to really get their run game going like they did the previous week? Is that due to Titans' defense?
Well, I mean, I think part of it was that, and part was scheme. I mean, they knew going in that they were going to throw the ball, I think, against Tennessee. So I think that, looking at the numbers and seeing, almost 350 yards passing, where we had 350 yards rushing the week before. So, I mean, it's game to game. They're just showing that they can beat anybody in a bunch of different ways.
Oh, I see. So, yeah. So they're scouting teams, and they're obviously every game plan is different depending on the team, which is that's pretty common sense, right, Ron?
Yeah, they were just playing to what they had as their perceived weakness because they're not real strong in the secondary. And then one of their secondary guys got hurt in the first quarter.
Yeah, I saw that on the injury. Yeah, I saw that on the injury list. Now, Sue and them have obviously made a difference in stopping the run, though.
Yeah, I mean, getting Jordan Davis back this week was big. Even though he really didn't have a lot of tackles, he was definitely taking up space in the middle of the line. I mean, that was one of the reasons why you didn't see Henry cutting through that line like he would normally do. Nakobe Dean, like I said, led the team in tackles this week. Sue really only had 2 tackles, but again, the big bodies were jamming up the middle, and that was part of the reason why Henry couldn't get it going.
Yeah.
Well, we defend the east-west runners. We seem to be able to control more than on the edge for when they take it outside, like when they go north-south. Do you see that, Ron, or am I off base there?
No, I mean, they tried it. I mean, they had a couple, decent runs, but I mean, they didn't sustain it long term because when we're getting that pressure up the middle, don't have a lot of time for those plays to develop. And I think that was part of it, even though Henry's got a good vision of the field. I mean, he sees the holes and he usually hits them pretty fast, but I mean, they were just closing up so fast. There was so much pressure. They really kind of out-muscled them at every turn.
They also had to know that A.J. Brown was going to go off on them.
Yeah, A.J. during the week tried to play it down. It's just another game, blah, blah, blah. But, when it came to the press conference after the game,
at the end of the game,
he was lighting it up. He's like, I wanted to do good against these guys. And so he kept his cards close to the vest.
He did. And then just trashed him. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, besides A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith also had a very nice game receiving. He also had 100 yards receiving.
They had 220 between the two of them.
Ron and I disagree on Hurts, but do you guys think of Hurts running it every other down? I mean, I wouldn't recommend it going forward.
I don't think he should run every other down. But Ron, I see here that you on Hurts, but you guys think of Hurts running every other down. I don't think he should every other down. Ron,
I don't either.
Well, no, I don't think that he should run every other down either. And actually this week, if you actually look at it, he really didn't. I mean, he just rolled out a little bit, and he threw on the run quite a bit. So, I mean, some of it's by design. Every now and then they'll run a draw or something that's, drawn up for him to run. But this current week wasn't nearly as much as it was the prior week.
Are you a big fan of the RPOs, Ron?
Oh, they're effective. I mean, especially when you have the kind of talent that you're looking at. I mean, if you've got a running back who, if you're doing play action and they believe that you could run or pass it, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the loss of Goddard hurts a little bit. It just takes one more option off the table, but I think that overall, I think the RPO can work if you have the right people in the right positions.
Okay. I got Lisa. Yeah, I would say yes, Lisa. Ron again. What do you think, Ron?
Well, I know Lisa thinks that sometimes he doesn't even look at his progressions, that he just, decides that he's going to run and he runs. Okay. But I mean, if you look at the success that he's had in the passing game, and if you look at the way he's hit receivers with the amount of accuracy that he's had, I don't think you can say he's not looking at the receivers. I think that he's just has situations where maybe, in particular, Jordan Mailata might not be the superstar that everybody thought he was, because he seems to have given up a few sacks in the last couple of weeks. I think he needs to get back to basics a little bit, because he's, I think some of his technique is maybe hurting him a little bit, because only being really exposed to football at any level for just a couple of years, he was a rugby player. I think that was, people are starting to take advantage of that a little bit, and they're hitting him with stuff that he hasn't been coached up on. And he just seems to be getting beat a little bit more than he used to.
I mean, I think the whole offensive line as a whole needs to get back to basics, because I think they had 4 false starts yesterday, 2 holding calls. Like, this is one of the least penalized offensive league lines in the whole entire league. But then yesterday, it just self-imploded. I mean, you take away all those penalties on the offensive line, and I think the Eagles played a perfect game yesterday.
I agree, John. I mean, absolutely. That first quarter, or the first quarter and a half, they just were totally out of sync.
The first drive. Hell, they had 2 false starts on the first drive, have to use a timeout a minute and a half in the game. You're like, oh, great, here we go again. It's going to be another tough, rugged out game. But then they just flipped the switch and turned it on.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys about something. Do you remember the play? I think it was A.J. Brown going out, I forget. And the defenseman just kind of stood there and he crashed into him on his route. So that goes against the defense. You can't pick somebody, basically, like in basketball or something like that?
Pick. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You're good.
No, I mean, picks are illegal, and picks are an offensive pass interference, but that wasn't necessarily a pick so much of it was an underthrown ball, and he stopped his momentum, and then the defensive guy ran into him, and then he continued his route. So he was working his way back to the ball, but then he saw that it was coming longer, and he broke the other way. So, I mean, it was an iffy call. It could have went either way. But I'm glad it went the way it did.
So did I. Is this also illegal? Could teams scheme around where the refs stand? Is that legal? I'm asking a dumb question.
Well, they never really know exactly where they're going to be.
Oh yeah, you're right. That was a silly question, just to be silly.
But I think the point you're talking about the second AJ Brown touchdown when he basically ran over the guy to get wide open.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking. Yeah. Ron, you know what I'm talking about. Ron,
I know which one I'm talking about.
He basically beat him on a double move. He made the defender look bad. So, at first I saw the flag. I was like, oh, no, they're going to call A.J. Brown for offensive pass interference because he basically trucked him. But when you look at the replay, the guy just got his ankles broken and just got in the wrong spot and grabbed onto him. So, more power to A.J. to be able to break through that, you can say.
Yeah, I agree with you totally, both Ron and you, was about that whole thing. I thought plus the Eagles proved they can shoot it out with a team when they played the Packers.
Yeah.
Remember, Ron? You know what I'm talking about, Ron?
Oh yeah,
Score
absolutely.
after score after score after score. I mean, it's nice to see that he can, if he has to get, I'm going to say down and dirty, I guess is probably a wrong term, but it seems like he can do that. He can keep it going. And that's tough sometimes in shootouts. I remember when Marino and Bledsoe used to have similar games. Ron, you probably agree with me on that, Ron?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Remember they used to have 300-400 yards against each other. Really huge numbers. They always put up to each other. That was fun to watch.
I will give Sirianni credit too, also in fact, that he does something most other coaches don't do. With 9 minutes left in that game, they're winning 35-10. What's he do? Pull his whole entire first string out, keep him healthy. Because most of the time when teams are ahead like that, you always see some freak injury in the last minute or 2 minutes of that game, and your season's washed. So for Sirianni to pull out our starters like that, I commend him for it. People don't like it, especially during a regular season game, but you're up 25 points with 8 minutes left. The other team's not moving the ball. Why risk injuries? So bravo to Nick Sirianni for doing that.
Yep.
Ron, anything?
No, I totally agree. I mean, I think it was a great game plan. I think they did a great job this week all around. I think they addressed some of the special teams situations, and they looked much improved. So, hey, hats off to them.
Just nice. The only thing I gotta say is fix the penalties.
Yeah,
clean up the laundry.
You can't be sloppy like that.
No, was bizarre. This game was actually good going into the fourth quarter, and I think Indianapolis forgot that there was 4 quarters in the football game, and Dallas put up 33 points in the fourth quarter.
Dang,
that was insane. Part of it was, I guess, the Indianapolis started turning the ball over, or Dak's making key plays, but the fourth quarter was all Dallas. I've never seen that high of a lopsided fourth quarter in the pro levels in a long time. So I wouldn't say it was really running the score up, but more sending a message. Like, hey, we're still here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, people are kind of dismissing them a little bit, and I think they're getting a little butthurt about it. So, they say, "Oh, we're on national TV. Let's show them."
I mean,
Lisa, with another good question.
Yes, that's basically what John was just talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry, John.
Sorry. But everyone wants to talk about them running up to score 54-19. So could you make the same argument that they did that a couple weeks ago versus Minnesota when they won 40-3?
Well, it's the Colts held them pretty well in the first half, but then things started to collapse in the second half.
Oh, completely.
The Colts played them half of it, but then it was all Dallas.
I'm not going to call it Kenny's combat, but I'm laughing at
Cowgirl shitheads. Yeah, well, you call them like you see them there, Ken.
That's funny. That is hysterical.
There's a lot of names that could call the Cowboys, but they might pop in here, so I'll be nice.
Just to let you guys know, Lisa is an extremely knowledgeable football mind. She's
I can see by the questions that
she's very well versed. So
you can tell by her questions, Ron.
Good. I mean, I hope Lisa comes back more often then.
Only for Ron she'll come back. I have a funny feeling.
Maybe not.
Ron, John's like, I'll never get to talk again.
Nope, I'm good. I'll mute my mic, turn the camera off all tonight.
No, I'm just asking questions, Ron. John.
This is the Ron Tessing show after all, ladies and gentlemen. So
it is, everybody. That's what we call it. I'm just trying to see another game that.
Well, you can talk about Washington, New York. Back and forth game. Washington ties at the end. Both teams exchange possessions at the end in overtime, and then Graham Gano misses a 58-yard field goal with 5 seconds left, ends in the tie. It hurts Washington. I don't know if you would say it hurts the Giants or helps them, but it shakes up the whole division now.
Definitely. Bobby, welcome. What's up, dude?
Hey.
Dude, this makes me laugh. The Giants.
And the commodes.
It's so funny. Oh, Pauline, that was really, really funny.
What's up, Bobby?
There's a lot of different
house.
names you could call both those teams, but I'll keep it PG tonight. So
Yeah.
It's
It's never PG in here, man.
It's hardly.
well, then
ever.
you call it.
Wait till tomorrow night.
Don't remind me.
What is this? What is Ken saying here, Ron? You almost got beat up for your knowledge.
Yeah, well, that did happen.
Were you showing somebody up?
We were at Dave and Buster's, and they had this like trivia machine, and like 6 people sit at the machine.
Okay.
And you're answering trivia questions, but you basically tap in when you know the answer. You tap the answer that you know, and then once everybody picks an answer, then they show who had it right. And if whoever had it the fastest, if everybody got it right, whoever got it the fastest would get the points. So
I played something similar. Okay. So what happened?
I kind of sat at this thing for a couple hours, and I got like thousands and thousands of points. Like I won every single game. And the people that were playing the game were like, what do you must have memorized all the questions. And I'm like, no.
They're random.
I'm just a fountain of useless information.
You said it to me on Wednesday. That's funny because you have knowledge in so many subjects. It's amazing. And what is this over here?
Yeah, what's going
on with Pauline, Michelle? Or Pauline, Michelle. Ron.
Tell them about us. Okay. I think I better get clarification on exactly what you mean by that. This might not be the venue for that. No. But anyway, I think probably mainly referring to my Eagles group that we get together every Sunday at our bar, Oz, hosted by the Tinnies, and we just go crazy for football. So that's
I think Pauline's
probably what she's really referring to.
She said our group.
I'm only kidding about the other stuff. It's okay.
She's laughing, so that's it.
Yeah.
But all right, hold on. Blackie, what's up, Lala? Yeah, here's some things from earlier. He cheated, Ron.
Yeah.
And then about your useless knowledge.
Yep.
Just like Cliff. That's funny to me. Lalo, you're Pittsburgh. They won, but your team sucks. Sorry.
Pittsburgh, he's a New Orleans fan. Get it right. Come on.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Lalo. I always screw that up every freaking week. Thanks, Kelsey. That means a lot to me, Ron and John.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
There it is, popping on. Pow!
Kelsey's my cousin from Colorado. She tunes in to support us whenever she can. So I appreciate it as always.
Yeah, Ron. We have a swear jar going on, Ron. That we put a quarter in every time we swear, this swear jar. And then at the end of the month, we send all the money to charity. So that's what we're going to be sending it to Kelsey as charity first.
Nice job, Mike. Tell Lalo you're sorry.
Lalo, I'm sorry, man. I am sorry about that. Ron, you don't have to participate in swear jar. So that's just something
I'll just send you a 20 as a down payment. We'll be good.
That might cover Mike for the first week.
Yeah, I know. I'll cover it for a week. That's funny. I'm trying to see what other game released. What did you think of the absolute pitiful Broncos-Ravens game? Good Lord.
Oh God. Well, Lamar going out didn't really help matters much in that. I mean, he's got what they're probably thinking is probably a knee sprain. So he's kind of week to week. He's supposed to have an MRI today.
I didn't read that yet. Okay, so that's what's going on.
The backup was Tyler Huntley. And he didn't actually play that bad.
No, he wasn't that bad.
He's just he's a guy. And then they signed a backup too today. They signed Brett Hundley, not to be confused with Tyler Huntley, off New Orleans, and he was actually on the scout team in New Orleans, and he was the guy who impersonated Lamar Jackson on the scout team. So they went ahead because he knew all Lamar's plays and his tendencies. They signed him to back up the quarterback they have currently until Lamar gets back.
Yeah. Okay. No, thanks for telling me. I didn't know it was an injury. Last time I heard the injury was they were still assessing it. So you're saying they're week to week.
Yeah, he said it's a probable knee sprain and it's week to week, and they're gonna know more after the MRI today.
Bobby, we actually talked about this earlier in the broadcast. Bobby's obviously knows, Denver's his team.
Yeah.
So Baker to San Francisco. We don't think so. We talked about this.
No, because you got to take on the rest of his salary for the rest of the year, and it's a pretty hefty penny.
It is. It definitely is a pretty penny to be doing that.
Hey Joe, I agree. I heard a little bit of that album, and it was pretty awesome.
I haven't heard it yet.
I have not heard that yet either. It's really good?
Ron? Yeah, it's really, really good.
Oh, nice. Definitely have to check out that.
They said they were in the studio listening to Jordan in his pipes, and they were all blown away. Like, who is this guy? Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Isn't that the guy from The Masked Singer?
Yeah, he did The Masked Singer. Yep.
Yeah.
Lisa has a good question. So, Ron, if you want to start, I'll let you.
Yeah, okay. Ron, once again, Ron, start us off, baby.
Well, I mean, I think to be real, I don't fear the Giants really all that much. I mean, I think that Dallas game could be a game that, might be concerning. But I just don't have any fear for the Giants, even though they've won a few games. I don't think they match up very well against the Eagles in any way, shape, or form. I mean, Barkley is not Derrick Henry. Maybe he catches a little bit out of the backfield a little more, but I mean, I just don't see the Giants either here or there giving them much of a run at this point.
But I just don't.
Well, then why would the Giants fans jack their tickets up to $300? So I can't afford to go to the game on Sunday. I was actually looking at going up, but tickets are way too expensive. So instead, I'm having a party at my house. So
yeah, that's awesome. And there is Ken. Nobody likes us, and we don't care.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Good point. TD Saints.
Touchdown Saints.
What's the score? 7-3 Saints.
They always give Tampa Bay a run for their money, though. So if you see someone named Tyler the Breach pop in the chat, he'll tell you how great Tom Brady is.
I know.
Is he Chris Collinsworth's relative?
Oh, God. All right. That guy, I do not like Collinsworth at all. He's the worst.
He's ragging about the Eagles last night during the Dallas game. Who does that?
No, it's like the Super Bowl. Okay, Brady had 17 seconds left or 6. I understand Brady's pull out the stuff, but when they're on their own 20 and he's saying, we never know, be quiet. The game was over. Shut up. Can't stand him with that.
Maybe Brady keeps Collinsworth in his closet.
Yeah, we'll see. That is possible.
That's a good one, Ron. I love it.
Ken, I would too. I agree with Ken.
Yeah, Ken.
Yeah. Make that happen, God. Ken.
Yeah, Ken. I'll give you whatever
we'll
you need.
We'll pitch in for bail.
Oh, we got you. There's Pauline again.
Yeah.
He needs to shut the hell up. It's true. He needs to just stop.
I actually wrote a letter to the NFL back in 2017 after the Eagles won the Super Bowl to have him removed from the air. He is so biased. It's not even funny.
Extremely biased. I don't know how anybody can respect anything he says. I don't see it.
I mean, well, the one day we put up his stats, I was completely blown away that he had what was it, 1,000-yard receiving seasons?
Yeah, a couple Pro Bowls.
Yeah, Ron told us about that in another show. I did not know that. I thought he didn't play at all that much in the pros.
He played. Well, also in the fact he was 6'5", and that back then that's huge for a tight end. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know that either. I didn't know this either.
Yeah. Well, I wrote Al Michaels then. even though the new guy they have him with, not really he's more of a college level guy than a pro guy. He's good, but
I miss Summerall and Madden. Sorry, I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't like Aikman and Buck. I don't like them much either. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Ron? Do you like Aikman and Buck?
I like Buck. I was never a big Aikman fan, but I mean, he wasn't as much of a homer as like, Collingsworth, and he wasn't such a know-it-all like Romo. Romo, it was a novelty at first when he would call the plays like before they happen, but then after a while it just got annoying, and they don't shut up.
Yeah, I liked him off the bat. My wife and I both did. We liked Romo off the bat, but now he's just playing like you just said, Ron. He's annoying and tries to be a know-it-all.
Yeah, I don't know anybody else like that.
He does always look like he's been drinking. It's so funny you say that because it does look like he's always been drinking. It's so funny.
No, sorry.
Nah, it's all right.
Are we talking about Troy or me?
Now we don't want to on the side over there. We let him out of the closet 1 week and he wants to get drunk on the job.
See, hand check.
Hand check.
No
Ron, did any other game, or the tie we went over, any other game jump out at you? The Jets should have won. I don't know what they were doing with their play calling.
Yeah.
Someone's calling Ron out. Gina, Eckes, and Hibbs.
Hey, Gina.
Always.
Only a karaoke.
Uh-oh. Might have to have I
want to see him versus Poncho.
Yeah,
Ron,
Poncho.
I want to see you versus Poncho. Oh,
Poncho's good. I mean, Poncho is good.
No, I went out to the bar with him last year. That bar he goes to out there in, what is it, Turnersville? Wait, it's out there ways.
Williamstown.
Yeah, I went there. He was awesome. I filmed the whole thing. He was great.
Oh yeah, he's good. Very good.
Really, really, yeah. I really
really good.
So anything you guys have to add on the Jets-Vikings game? Because literally I thought the Jets were going to win it.
I did too.
And I'm like, what the hell?
It was looking that way.
Don't you think the plays were not, I don't know. I didn't feel like he was calling the right plays, Ron. I don't know how you feel about that, but it looked like coaches bad play management.
Yeah, I mean, but they can't really rely on Jefferson, pulling their buns out of the fire every week. I mean, the guy's a talent and he's having a career year, but he's probably going to set some records. But you can only go to the well so many times. They're going to have to. I
agree with you 100%.
They're going to have to broaden their offense a little bit because eventually they're just going to game plan him right out of the mix, no matter how good he is.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ron. I don't know. Kelsey's talking about karaoke time. I didn't even know you had a book that you signed. I don't know.
She wrote her own book. She has a memoir out. Yeah.
I never knew that, Kelsey. Congratulations. That's big.
Nice.
That's big news. Nice.
You'll find it on Amazon. So.
Lisa had a bad gambling day.
Oh boy. I mean, they had the ball. They were in contention to win that game, but just couldn't make the big play when they needed to.
No, they can't. They just could not.
But if the players were to start today, they would still be in.
Yeah, that's true.
No, you're right. Definitely right. I'm trying to see. I'm looking at the list here. How'd you guys think Watson looked? He looked very, very rusty to me.
Like shit.
Yeah, he didn't look good at all. But I mean, it's been a couple years since he played. So, how much of a shape is he in? I don't know if they get much out of him this year at all, but I think going into next year with a full training camp, maybe he makes some noise for them. I mean, is he an upgrade from Baker? Yeah, absolutely. I think so. So I think it's just a situation where he really needs some time to acclimate to the system, plus to get in football shape.
Well, okay. I know it's nice insight. Ron's got a good insight there.
Yeah, I mean,
makes sense.
Yeah, I've been playing over 700 days. Like, what do you expect from somebody? Him to come out looking like Houdini? No, you can't imitate game speed doing practice or nothing like that. So.
Oh no, definitely. It's got no problem. We go off topic all the time, Kelsey, as you know. So
that's what we do.
The biggest thing I have to say about that Browns game is after the game, they asked Miles Garrett how he felt Deshaun Watson played, and all he said was next question. He avoided it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I don't think he's really bonded with the team. I mean, he hasn't really spent a lot of time with the team. And, those that were loyal to Baker, are not exactly going to cozy up to him right away. I mean, he's going to have to earn their respect. And the way he's going to do that is work hard and try and get acclimated to the system as quickly as possible and get into shape where he can actually have a positive impact on the game.
Yeah, I agree. Some people might really be bothered by what he was charged with. Ron, what do you think about that? I think some of the players might be bothered by that.
Yeah, it's possible. But I mean, these guys, let's be honest. I mean, in the NFL, it's very little about team. And I hate to say that, but it's true. I mean, a lot of these guys are just into it for individual reasons for whatever. I think there are exceptions. I think there are teams that are true teams, but I think there's a lot of teams out there that are fractured, and it's either offense versus defense, or it's, this guy's loyalist versus that guy's loyalists. I think that's all there. So, hey, who knows? Time will tell.
My buddy Prince in the building. Evening, Prince. Thanks for popping in as always.
For who? For what? Yeah, Ken. Exactly.
All right. Now,
little Ricky Waters action.
Look what Gina wrote over here, Ron. Always has to slip. Karaoke.
Now, my one question about the Houston-Cleveland game, I don't know if you guys know or not. Houston actually brought 11 of the alleged victims to the game yesterday and put them in the front row in the back of the end zone. How do you respond to that?
Wait, Cleveland did that?
No,
Cleveland did that?
Houston.
That's ridiculous.
That's Bush League.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's using victims as props. It's disgusting. And
that is gross.
If that's true, they should be called on, by the NFL.
Well, as one of my friends was saying in my group chat yesterday, that the Houston Texans organization did that. So,
like, I just agree with Ron. Bush League. That decision is disgusting. Like Ron also said, it's just disgusting that you would do that. To me, Ron, you agree? Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you're the one that said I agree with you. Where is it at? What's with Ken saying Kansas City stepped on their penis? What was that?
They got beat.
That just means they got beat badly. I'll translate tinny talk.
Okay. Thanks, Ron. Because I didn't know. And here's Gina. She agrees with you too, Ron. What you said about every man for himself, and that's true.
Yeah. With some exceptions.
No, there's team guys, and then there's obviously money guys.
Well, look at Deshaun Watson alone. 5 years, $239 million guaranteed, and it's a fully guaranteed contract.
Right. Well, which means there's other guys that are veterans that are going to end up getting cut. And that's why, there's guys that resent him, because they know that if they're getting minimal production out of this guy, and it's going to cost them, a couple years of being competitive, because they can't afford to pick up free agents and to, re-up the guys that are in there making contributions, just because, they decide to pay Watson a boatload of money. There you go.
Yeah. Well, remember how much money this is a guy that played for himself. You remember Washington Redskins took on what, Haynesworth contract? Ron, you remember that?
Yeah.
And that guy was only out for the money.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just bringing up one of the guys that was very selfish.
Yeah, and back then he was on like a 10-year, $100 million deal, and that was astronomical back in the day.
Right. For that time. Yeah, absolutely.
Nowadays it's just chicken scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I had something to say about that just real quick. Ron, do you agree that draft order should be paid the way it is? I like the fact that they cap it. What is your thought on that?
One more time, Mike. I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it me? I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry, Ron. I said no. The draft. I like the fact that they cap it depending on the pick number. I said, do you agree with that, or would you rather see it back in the day when they could sign huge contracts coming out of college?
Well, I think it's a wise move in certain respects. I mean, I think that slotting, or so to speak, basically what happens is that once one person signs, then they can, base the other salaries accordingly within the framing of the ranges for that level pick. So I don't really think.
Okay, go Ron. Sorry.
I think that if you take a guy who's a number one pick and you throw a Fort Knox at him, I mean, that's going to throw the whole salary structure of the whole league into turmoil, because now you got the second pick overall that's looking for just under that kind of money. Next thing you know, you're going to run into the same thing where once you're running up against that cap, you're not going to be able to afford free agents or to re-up your key players because you're paying all this money out to an unproven rookie.
Right. And the signing that I'm thinking about right now is with Jamarcus Russell. He signed a $50 million plus contract and was a total bust in the NFL.
Right.
Yeah. So I agree with you, Ron, in that they should have a couple prove it years, or keep a structure like they have, or people need they need a couple years. You know what I mean, to see how it's going to play out in the NFL. You agree with that? Oh no, Ron's not even listening.
Yeah, I was listening. I just read something funny.
I know. Ken's funny. That is funny. The way you wrote it too about video killed the radio star. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Our apples and oranges.
I completely agree with Gina.
Yeah, I was just saying that, and Ron was just saying that.
Yeah.
Yep. We agree with you, Gina. We agree with you 1,000%.
I love the salary cap. If not, where does it end?
Just look at Major League Baseball.
Yep, man.
Yep. That's what they do. No cap. They have those tax bracket things, which are good, but when you have big market teams, I mean, the Yankees can eat that $50, $60, $70 million fine like it's nothing.
Yeah. And then he's sitting home in October. No, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
It's fine. I'm a huge Yankees fan, but they've done nothing in the playoffs. Nothing at all. All that great season for Judge and everything. Nah, they didn't do.
All that money they make.
Oh yeah. Well, they make a ton of money. That's what I'm saying. Like Pittsburgh or other teams that benefit from it, are great. But the problem is they're running it. They could never get that high because they're not going to pay those kind of salaries, and they don't want to be in the tax bracket that the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Yankees, that they have that kind of room. And I think that hurts I think that hurts the mid to lesser teams being in their market where they are.
Yeah.
What do you think? Ron,
and that's the thing. You get teams that literally get priced out. I mean, and then, your level of competition starts to be bigger gaps when you get the smaller market teams that really can't compete with your Yankees and your Mets and your Angels and, teams that are just out there, just throwing it out there,
No, I'm glad you agree with me, Ron. I didn't know if you would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, since you guys are talking about baseball, you guys want to mention the 3 big signings today?
Yeah. Ron, you might segue in over there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the biggest one, of course, is Trey Turner. 11 years, $300 million.
Was it for 11 years?
With a full no trade clause.
Ron, it was 11 years, not 10 years. It was 11.
11 years.
That's an odd number.
300 mil.
So what's that over 11 years? What is that?
27.3 million.
Thanks, John.
Oh, look at Mr. Math down there.
I figured that earlier, so.
Nice. Yeah, so I mean that's a very important signing for the Phillies. I mean, a guy like Trey Turner, I mean, for the last couple years, he's averaged around 312. He hits for power. He steals bases. He's very strong defensively. He's an all-around player, and he's got a history with Bryce. So, I mean, they're both going to be there for all those years because both of their contracts have a full no trade. So Bryce and Trey Turner will be joined at the hip now for about the next 8 or 9 years.
All right. Now, my question to you, though, is you got Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, JT Russo under contract for the next 4 or 5 years. They're all making over $100 million. So do you try to maybe ship one of those 3 out to get some money back and more prospects back in return, or do you look what you can get for Alec Baum or Rhys Hoskins?
No, Castellanos got to go.
Oh, definitely. I agree with that 100%. He's a defensive liability, and he can't hit.
Well, the only reason you got to keep Castellanos is because unless you have another right fielder, unless you can slide Matt Rearling into right field every day, Bryce Harper's going to be out half the season.
Yeah. Castillo made a couple plays in the playoffs, but he's a defensive liability. Ron, you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely a defensive liability, and I don't know that Veerling's the answer either. I mean, I think that Brandon Marsh was pretty serviceable when they put him in center field, even though, he also had some hitting issues when the pressure was on. So, that's a problem there. I mean, they do probably need to look at another outfielder. Absolutely.
Okay.
Michelle Pauline saying, "Tell him, Ronsky."
Yeah.
And then she said, maybe, I totally agree with you. Nice.
Maybe you take Schwarber and maybe, you got Schwarber, you got Marsh. You could pick up a right fielder. I mean, if Bryce is going to be out till the All-Star break at best case scenario,
he can't hit with that. He can't. He also can't hit with that surgery, right, Ron?
No,
he can't do what he did last year, where he could bat, but he couldn't play the
field.
He's
out. He's Tommy John. It's basically Tommy John surgery. So
see, I always relate that to pitchers. I see what you're saying.
But the swinging motion and the pitching motion are both involved the same set of muscles. So I think he'd still run into difficulty, and that's why they're saying it's probably the All-Star break before he even has a possibility of getting back.
So if you're the Phillies, do you look to trade Hoskins, maybe get an outfielder, or do you maybe shop Alec Baum, who's younger, maybe more valuable?
Well, Kevin wants him to go. You guys both know Kevin, right, Ron?
Yeah.
Kevin hates Rhys Hoskins. He's hated him for years. He said he didn't think that he'd come back next year.
Well,
no, go ahead, Ron.
I mean, I don't know that it's time to give up on Hoskins, but myself personally, I mean, I would maybe consider thinking about throwing Hoskins back out into the outfield again. I mean, you could put somebody much better defensively at first base, and Hoskins really didn't kill you out there, although he wasn't, a superstar. But I mean, he's got a decent arm. He's got a little bit of speed. Why not? I mean, right fielder,
that's a great idea. It's a great idea.
Right fielder, you just need to have a little bit of an arm on you, and just be able to read the ball off the bat. And I think that those things are things that he can do without making the kind of mental errors that he's making at first base.
No, I agree with you 100%, Ron. I didn't even think of that. That was great.
All right.
Now, Ron, I have a question for you, Ron, about I'm sorry, John. I just wanted to ask this real quick. Do you think back in the day that teams would have put up with a sub 200 batter that could just hit for power?
Yeah, Dave Kingman.
Dave
Kingman struck out 220 times a year back then.
Ron, a fact that I do not know. I know the player you're talking about did not know the other facts. So it has been done in the past.
Yeah, he was a strikeout machine, but because he hit home runs, they hit him in the lineup. He did not hit for average. He hit for power, and that was it.
Thanks, Ron. You have so much knowledge; it's unbelievable.
All right. Well,
I did not know that.
I have a question for you too. Going back to saying that you're putting Rhys Hoskins in the outfield, okay? Now, say you do move him out the outfield, who takes over first base? Do you bring somebody in, or do you give that kid Derek Hall a shot?
I mean, Hall wouldn't be a bad option. I mean, he'll give you that pop you need out of a first baseman, from a power number perspective. He's not going to really hurt you defensively as much as Hoskins did. So, I mean, that's one option. I mean, you've got JT that you've got to get him out from behind the plate more because he's just getting to the point where, that 162 game schedule is just not going to work for him being behind the plate every single game. So he can give you something at first base, you can get a decent backup catcher who can go in there and maybe once or twice a week, throw him back there. And then, you can run JT out there at first.
Yeah, because you got Garrett Stubbs as your backup catcher right now, who just sits on the bench, pretty much does nothing. So, like Ron's saying, yeah, if you can sub out JT once in a while, yeah, I could see that.
What about a low cost option like the guy that had his best seasons with the Yankees? Do you think Voit would ever be an option for them, Ron, as a cheaper pickup for first base? If he hits with power and stuff like that, or no?
My thought is that my personal belief is I don't think that they can really afford to bring on a first baseman when they've got people on the roster now that they could use. If they're going to have to find a spot for, if you got Schwarber out and left, you got Marsh in center, you've got JT who you can use at first. You can have Hall. You could have there was somebody else that played some first as well. Who I'm blanking right now, but there was somebody else that played a few games at first this year too. So,
but yeah, Derek Hall played a couple.
Ron, look on the screen.
But
yeah, like John. Sorry,
you definitely have options within the system that you could move stuff around. That's for sure. Because you got Derek Hall, Eduardo Sosa. I think coming back this year. I think he's under contract. Maybe.
How's their farm system look for first base?
The biggest name I would say is Derek Hall.
Yeah, for sure, John. Hall, I think is your guy that you look at if you're looking to do something homegrown. I mean, Hall is definitely the guy. He got some big major league hits, this past year when they needed him. I don't have any reservation about him being on the 40-man roster, no doubt.
Okay, now most of the last season we saw Bryce Harper as our DH. Okay, now with him being out, designated hitter becomes available. You maybe pull somebody off the field to be just your DH, or could you see Derek Hall sliding into that DH role full time?
That's an option as well. I mean, I think that they do have to consider who's going to be the DH. I think that that's also a spot where if they can maybe invest in a catcher, I mean. If they have
JT is really, really good at catching.
Yeah, but JT is a good catcher, but he can't do it for 162 every year. And he's getting a little long in the tooth. So he's going to be a guy who is going to start to break down at some point. So you got to have a plan B. And if that means, a couple games of, instead of sitting him down, let him be the DH one night. Let him, play first one night. Just try and get him a little bit of break from that. 162 as a former catcher, let me tell you, it gets to hurt after a while.
Well, you saw the decline of Darren Daulton after all those years.
Yeah.
Towards the end of his career when he was with the Florida Marlins, Daulton was nobody.
And it was too little too late when they did move him to first base.
Yeah.
What about Schwarber going into the DH?
Yeah, but Schwarber's a solid left fielder. I don't think
think
you messed that up right now. I think
That's
he
true.
was very serviceable and left this year.
Or
you don't want to move Castellanos over there.
No.
I want to move Castellanos onto a train and send him somewhere.
Why did they sign him? Being such a defensive guy, and his pop on his bat's not that great.
because
was he even?
he put up good numbers with Cincinnati, and they jumped on him when he was hot, and now they
You
kind
know,
of overpaid for him and stuck with him.
How long is
They
his
took
contract?
the highest free agents that were on the market, and
5 year.
said, "Yeah, let's get them."
The sad thing about Phillies is I feel bad for them. Phillies have money, I get it, but they're not going to like the room at the second and possibly third tax bracket. That's going to hurt. That I think they're going to be paying a lot of money.
Well, the problem is they need a third pitcher too. You know, right now you have Wheeler, Noah, Andrew Painter, who's going to slide into the rotation. You don't know what Ranger Suarez is going to be, if he's going to be your third starter or relief pitcher again. And then Noah Syndergaard's a free agent who's about to walk away probably.
Well, Ronnie mentioned earlier about Eflin not resigning because you guys couldn't give him what he was looking for.
That, and he wanted to be a starter, and I think the Phillies wanted to keep him in the bullpen, which I don't think is right.
And I don't think they put Suarez back in the bullpen. I think that he's pretty much going to be a 3 or a 4.
Okay, but you still need another starter.
Yeah, I mean, you need maybe 2 starters. But you've also got they've got somebody in Double-A right now, and I'm going to blank on his name.
I think it's Andrew Painter that they're looking at bringing up.
Maybe it was Painter, but there's a guy that they just drafted a couple of years ago who's been rocketing through the system. He went from rookie ball to A ball to Double-A in a year. So. I think he was drafted like 2 years ago or something. I'm going to see if I can find his name.
I'm really certain it's Andrew Painter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you could be right, John.
But then they said Syndergaard and looking to go elsewhere. There's a couple teams I was looking at, like Baltimore, Tampa Bay. I don't think the Phillies really value Syndergaard like they should.
Syndergaard has lost pretty much everything that he once had with the Mets.
No, I agree, but you can still have him as a tail end 4 or 5 day starter. You don't need him to be one of your top 3 starters.
You could, but I don't think he goes 6-7 innings every time he's out.
No, when you start someone like Syndergaard, you might as well chalk that up as what they call a bullpen game.
Yeah, that would work. But I just think as a starter, he's not going to. I don't know if he can do that a 6-7 every time out because of his drop in because of injuries and other factors.
Yeah, well,
Ron, what do you think, Ron?
He's looking at my name real quick.
Ron's busy.
Yeah, I was looking something up. I'm sorry. I think the guy I was thinking of is Eric Miller. He's a left-handed pitcher. He was a 4th-round pick in 2019. He throws high 90s, and he could throw up to 97.
Wow.
And he's a left-hander, and he's 22 years old. And he went from rookie ball to A ball basically in a year. And his velocity is going up instead of down.
Ron, you didn't hear what I was saying?
No, I didn't.
I said, I don't think Syndergaard, with all his injuries and everything that's happened to him, I don't think he's a rotation guy because I don't think he can go 6-7 innings the whole season every time he's out there. That's my opinion.
I agree. I agree with you, Mike, because I think that down the stretch, I think he did exactly kind of what they expected him to do. They throw him in there to get a good solid inning eater, 5-6 innings out of him, and then turn it over to the bullpen, I think. But, at this point in his career, I really don't see him as a frontline starter at all.
Yeah, that's why I tell Mike that you could keep him as like maybe a 4 or 5 starter and just call that what they call a bullpen game.
Yeah.
Because most of you,
I agree with you. I agree with you, John. I said that's not bad.
Because
it's a lot of money to pay. It's a lot of money to pay a long reliever or a 5 starter to make the kind of money that they're going to pay to keep him. Because I think that there's got to be a team out there that's desperate enough to try and sign him. That's what I was going to ask you, Ron. What size of contract do you think he's looking for? I don't know. I would imagine that he's going to want to make more than he made this year.
All right. Thanks, Kelsey.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. Love you.
Hey, whoa, easy. That's my cousin, man. Just kidding, Josh. Much more.
No, he's not a guy that's going to make 10 a year, though, Ron, right? No one's going to sign him for that kind of money.
If you're crazy enough, you would.
20 mil a season? It's a lot of money, if that's what he's looking for.
Yeah, that's a lot for him.
Well, then you just have Justin Verlander today signed a 2-year, $86 million deal with the Mets.
It's a 3-year deal.
But it's listed as a 2 with a 3rd-year vesting option, like Ron said. But still, Verlander's what, 38, 39 years old. You're going to be paying him $43 million a year.
Well, at his age, I agree. He had a Cy Young. I don't see that kind of production out of him next year. Sorry, personally. Another
signing today, Clayton Kershaw went back to the Dodgers on a 1-year. He's only getting $20 million. So you're telling me someone like Clayton Kershaw is going to make $23 million less than someone like Justin Verlander when they're about the same age.
Verlander sucks in the playoffs. Okay, he had one good game in the World Series. He's not a good playoff pitcher.
The Mets as a whole suck in the playoffs. We talked about that earlier.
Choose my Yankees below in the postseason, so they can't do nothing. A team just doesn't gel. We got to get rid of. Stanton was one of the worst pickups. Everybody thought that was a steal. Stanton, no, he's as fragile as an egg. Yeah. How do you get injured swinging the bat? I mean, you get injured swinging the bat. Are you kidding me, dude? Come on.
Syndergaard visited the Orioles today.
Oh.
And the Yankees may have interest. And I'm not joking. I'm not joking, Mike. It's right here.
Really?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Wait.
Sorry to ruin your day.
No, what's going to ruin his day is when Aaron Judge signs elsewhere.
Yeah, that will effing kill me if that happens.
Especially since, if you didn't tune into one show, Mike was nice enough to buy me a nice gift a couple weeks ago. So as a thank you to him, I'm paying him back. I'm taking Mike to the Yankees opening day. And oddly enough, they're playing the San Francisco Giants. Now, the twist is, if Aaron Judge signs in New York, who do you get to see right away? Aaron Judge. Who balls their eyes out? Mike.
Yeah.
Right. And if it's the Giants, then he's got to be on the other side. Yeah, there's Pauline backing up Ron.
Have fun with him, Mike.
You're talking about, wait, who were we talking about again? I'm sorry. Was it?
What, Syndergaard?
No, not Syndergaard. The other pitcher that Ron mentioned. Suddenly I'm blanking on it. The one that Kelsey's agreeing with him on.
Kelsey agreeing on it.
Not Kelsey. No. Pauline said have fun with him. Like, I can't remember the pitcher all of a sudden.
Syndergaard.
Syndergaard.
Oh, God. I thought I heard that. No.
I did read also a couple weeks ago that Baltimore would be interested in somebody like Noah Syndergaard. So
that's fine, but I don't want him.
We got you, Pauline. You're good.
Sorry, I blanked on that, guys.
It's all right.
I did. Ron's got his phone up telling me that sucks news.
Well, maybe you'll be lucky, sign with Baltimore and you won't even have to worry about it.
Yeah, there you go.
Except having to play him. Well, the thing is with this Judge thing going on, right? The Yankees have been like, other than Rizzo, which is his best friend on the team, the Yankees are constantly in a state of waiting for him to decide what he wants to do. So I don't think there are other players. I don't think that they're targeting right now because it's being held up that long.
Yeah.
Well, they're waiting to see with Aaron Judge.
That's what you said.
But by the time he makes his decision, all the top line free agents are going to be already signed.
Yes, exactly. So I'm glad you agree with me, Ron and John, on that one, because you're on standby the whole time. By the time, like you said, Ron, all the guys are going to be gone that we're looking at because we don't know what we're doing contract wise.
Then you end up with Syndergaard.
Shut up, Ron.
Now, okay. Since we're talking about players waiting for certain stuff, Trey Turner, obviously, 11 years, $300 million. Now that he's signed and locked in, where's someone like Xavier Bogaerts go? The former Boston shortstop. What kind of money does he get?
They talk about the Yankees signing him, but I don't think they will.
Okay, but I'm just saying, what kind of contract does he demand now?
I don't know. But for us, IKF is not going to be the answer at shortstop. So you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, you were saying you mentioned the one night.
IKF, all right. It's kind of Falefa. So.
But like, now, I'm just saying, you have a $300 million signing for a shortstop today. And there's still 3 or 4 salvage shortstops out on this market waiting for teams to like reach out to them. Like,
What do you think? John, what do you think about that, though? Do you think the Yankees would sign Bogaerts to a contract where he's going to want $20+ million a season?
I mean, if it's a weakness of the Yankees, they might have to. If you don't like IKF and the organization's not sold, you want to fill that position with the best available player at that position, and the next one under Turner is Bogaerts.
I'm just wondering what kind of contract the Yankees would have to sign for that.
Bogaerts' career average is 292, where Turner's is over 300. So, I mean,
that's right. You said that earlier.
There's a little bit of a gap there, but I mean, yeah, the power numbers are probably another thing, and RBIs. I mean, Bogaerts only had 73 RBIs last year. So, I mean,
oh, you mean someone's going to overpay for him then, Ron? Kind of that thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you're throwing out $40 million a year for a guy with 73 RBIs.
No, I would say probably anywhere between 15 and 20, because he's still defensively good.
I think it could. That's why I mentioned 20 million a season. That's just a lot to pay.
I mean, 15, 20, yeah. But I can't believe that he's out there asking for 15 or 20. I think he's out there asking for the same money that Turner got.
And he won't get it.
And that's going to spook some teams away.
No, you just said, Ron, that the 11-year, they signed Trey Turner for, he's got a lot better production.
Oh, absolutely.
So teams aren't going to want to overpay, or not overpay, but you know what I mean, Ron. Give him, overpay for him.
But he's Turner is just a complete player. I mean, he's in every aspect of the game. So
why did the Dodgers not make him an offer? They've got the money. I don't know why they didn't.
They don't need a shortstop, do they?
Probably. I mean, they declined a lot of player options last year.
I thought they did.
I don't know.
Ron would know, probably.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing there.
Well,
I don't really follow the Dodgers heavily. I don't know who their shortstop was last year.
I'm gonna see if I can pull up the roster.
Ron? Where does Aaron Judge sign, in your opinion?
Honestly, I got a feeling he's going to be back with the Yankees. I mean, that's
everything I read. I'm just like, man, they say it's like 50-50. I thought
the longer it goes on, the more likely it is he's staying. I think that he's just holding out for, waiting for an offer where somebody's just going to decide to throw some crazy number at him. And I don't think it's going to come. And I think then he kind of tucks it a little bit and he stays with the Yankees, and, Yankee fans love him again, where, maybe there was a time when, maybe he wasn't exactly, Mr. Wonderful to all the fans.
Well, they started to boo him toward the end of the season when he wasn't.
Yeah, because they thought he was leaving.
Right.
So he comes back. He's the hero. He wins the fans back. Now everything's honky dory in Aaron Judge land.
Well, he's one of the faces of baseball. You know what I mean, Ron?
Well, yeah. In New York, he is.
No. He's the face of the Yankees. So you're right, in New York. But other players like him. There's a lot of fans that like him outside of New York.
It's easy to be the face of the franchise when you're hitting those kind of home runs.
That is true.
All right. So this article I just found has Chris Taylor as the Dodgers shortstop. But they're saying now that Turner went to Philly, they could possibly look at Xander Bogaerts as an option to replace Turner now.
Yeah. I think they were thinking they were going to land Turner.
Who, the Dodgers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they just had Turner, didn't they? He was already theirs, wasn't he?
No, he's in Washington.
Oh, Trey Turner was in what? I thought Trey Turner was on the Dodgers. I'm sorry. And that he re-signed with the Dodgers. Yeah,
I thought he
would re-sign with the Dodgers.
Wasn't he with the Nationals and then the Dodgers?
I think so. Hold on. Tell you 1 second.
Pauline says, Eagles versus Bills. You read it here first.
Hold on. I'm looking. Hold on. He played for the Washington Nationals and LA Dodgers. So he might
Yeah.
have started in Washington.
Yeah, he
but-
started in Washington and then he went to the Dodgers.
Yes.
Now, Ron, I have a quick question because I've read a couple articles. Is Jaron Judge the face of baseball?
No,
This wasn't written by New York writers.
no. What?
Just want to see.
I mean, right now, if you had to ask me who was the face of baseball, it'd be Ohtani.
Yeah, I think he's overtaking Mike Trout.
Ohtani, if you say his name, there's more name recognition there than anybody who's in the game right now. I mean, Trout has kind of, dropped down a notch. And I mean, the things that Ohtani have done, I think that baseball is looking to promote him in a big way.
Well, I just think that being that he almost won the Triple Crown and beat the home run credit, I think people would know Judge's name. But I think Ohtani would be a close second. That's all I'm saying. And the Yankees the thing is, the Angels almost traded him to the Yankees at the deadline for a ton of this huge package. And they said no. I'm like, why would you even try to put him on the trading block? I never understood why that was that way. I don't understand why they entertain any offer. Ron, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Why would you trade? I mean, now you're not thinking about it. Now, what does he demand? What is his contract going to look like, Ron? $400 million? 10 years?
Yeah, I mean,
Lot,
I don't know how you put a number on him right now. If the
a
guy,
guy that can play that two ways.
Just, I mean, he's Babe Ruth basically.
Ron or John, ban this idiot.
I'm trying to. Don't pop it up. I got it.
Lisa wants to go back to football.
All right. Well, you want to talk football? Let's talk.
She wants to go back.
Football, then.
We can talk football. I mean, that's fine.
Let's talk some college football then.
We talk about many subjects, Lisa. So don't mind us when we're like hopping around what we're talking about. I think that's all. Anyways, for baseball, I don't know. Oh yeah, Ron. I don't know if you heard it earlier. I said Stanton's a bust. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he was, he came in with high expectations, and I don't think he ever met him in New York.
No, he never did. And people said, "Oh, did Jeter trade him there to help the team?" No, he's been an injured egg.
Yeah.
Nice popping in, Matt.
Thanks, Matt, for coming aboard.
So all I got to say on college football is thank God Alabama didn't get in.
Amen.
Finally.
To that. Amen.
God, I went to church that day and lit a candle.
Why the hell didn't they need the Commanders and Sentinels? Nice hit, Shane.
I would have been in for that, Ken. Absolutely.
I would have too.
Shane Falco.
But now if you're gonna name the team the Sentinels, you gotta find a quarterback named Shane, or find a kicker named Roger Gruff who likes to smoke cigarettes on the field.
Yeah.
Then it would have been complete.
And he'd have to be Whitey.
The only
he was in shape by Welsh standards.
Yeah. Now the
I want
question.
to ask you. Go ahead, John. No. I just want to ask Ron, are you guys one more contract? The Houston signed Abreu. Do you think that was a good or a bad signing? I don't think it was a good signing considering his age and everything.
I mean, as far as Houston goes, I mean, really, you're coming off the series. You throw a veteran guy in there. I don't know that it's a bad thing, thinking that you may lose a guy or two, just to have that veteran presence, maybe DH.
Oh, the locker room presence.
And the locker room presence, a guy who's been there, done that. If they lose any of their perceived leadership in the clubhouse, then a guy like that could be pretty valuable, especially on a team that's a little fractured.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. So I have veteran presence in there. Some of these young kids up and coming, that veteran will keep them in line. So, is it an overpay? Sure. But for a team like Houston, you can slide Abreu in that 4 or 5 spot and get production out of them. And that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Good point, John.
So,
I'm back into football. I'm trying to find. Okay. I know the Jaguars are not good, but I was surprised that the Lions blew them out 40-14. I didn't think the Lions had that kind of offense.
Well, the Lions have been sneaky this year. I mean, they're, when I talked earlier, when we talked about a team, I truly think that the Lions are one of those teams that are more like a team, because I think Campbell's got them all walking in lockstep. I think they're all, behind each other. And I think that they've put in some pretty good performances for a team that really had zero expectations.
Well, they almost beat the Eagles in week 1. So
yeah, well,
yeah,
they're all pumped up. They did the the HBO thing, and you got to see a little bit of behind the scenes and see this guy Campbell, just pulling this team together almost single-handedly.
But that show said that they were going to be more aggressive this year. I don't see that with them. They told that in the beginning of the season there because of the HBO thing that they were going to be more aggressive. I haven't seen that play. So
I think they have heart. I think that they're a team that, you can't really count them out with this coach. I think they're rallying behind the coach. I think they're rallying behind Jared Goff. And, I don't think you can count them out of any game.
Good point. Here's Lisa. She's bringing it up. Yeah, just when you think the Lions are out, they win the game.
Yeah, that's true.
That is very true. Trying to see what else.
Well, that's sad news to you.
Yep, any given Sunday. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Lisa.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I think the Lions are missing a couple key pieces from being a playoff team, but they're knocking on the doorstep. Now that you see a team like Green Bay regressing a little bit, Chicago being Chicago, Minnesota's the base of that division. So if Detroit can add 1 or 2 pieces, they're right in contention. Because now Minnesota's going to have to ask themselves a big question in another year or two is, do we keep rocking with Kirk Cousins or do we rebuild?
What does Kenneth mean by thunder scar?
That's from the Replacements. It's the
oh, okay.
He's the big Samoan dude. Thunder scar.
All right, let's what about the 49ers Dolphins game with Garoppolo going down? Did we talk about that much? I thought the Dolphins didn't play up to their I don't think the Dolphins played up to their ability in that game at all. Tua was way off early on.
And he got hurt again too, so
yeah.
Tua did?
Yeah.
I thought it was just Garoppolo that got injured.
He came back in. Tua came back in, but he was out for a period of time in the game.
You think he's going to go back into protocols? Or anything about it?
No, it wasn't a concussion. It was an ankle, I think.
Ouch.
Ankle injury. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So are the 49ers going to can maintain that success rate with Purdy? Purdy, right?
Yeah.
It falls on their defense. Their defense is a very strong defense. They've been really dominating teams the second half, so now they're going to have to play a complete game in order to compete with these teams. You obviously have to make tweaks with the offense for a quarterback who really hasn't played that much. But as long as you keep your weapons healthy, like Chris McCaffrey.
You've got Samuel, you got McCaffrey, you got Ayuk, you got all kinds of weapons there. This guy's just got to be serviceable. He doesn't have to be a superstar. He's just got to be a game manager at this point because the defense is just so dominant that they're going to keep him in any game. He doesn't have to throw up 35 points a game.
Garoppolo's out for the season, right? With his broken.
Yes.
Okay.
I 100% agree with that.
What was the injury that their starting quarterback had?
Fractured fibula,
who, Garoppolo?
No, Trey Lance.
Trey Lance?
That was a nasty injury. I forget.
Was it a neck?
No, it was a foot injury. I think it was
a foot. Yeah, okay.
I think he shattered his ankle or something like that. It wasn't pretty.
Ouch.
I'm
still looking into what I'm looking to. I finally got some answers, I should say. I didn't understand what the high ankle sprain was. I thought that was a shin injury, like an idiot, all these years, and it's not.
That's a good take from Lisa.
the high ankle sprain is like a lot more pain. I saw where it was. That's so much more painful.
Yeah. I would agree with Lisa, but I don't, because like Ron just said, as long as this kid Purdy can come in and be a game manager, I still think the 49ers can win that division, even though Seattle is going to be nipping at their heels now. So,
Ron, take up a look at the screen, what Lisa said.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we talked about that earlier. I mean, it's gonna require, Gino to continue to play at the level he's playing at, and I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, Seattle's been playing well.
I have a question for you, Ron. Oh, sorry, Ron. Go ahead.
They have a chance.
So what I was going to ask you was, do you think Geno Smith is like Tannehill? He got out of a situation and then was rejuvenated by being on the Titans. Do you think that Geno Smith is going to be one of those guys like that?
No.
Well, I think that was part of it. I mean, anybody who has to live through the Jets experience is going to, have a certain level of down. But I mean, this system in Seattle is pretty much built for a guy like Geno Smith. I mean, he was able to be plugged into that offense, and they had to make very few adjustments. I mean, he just stepped right in, and after struggling maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks, he just started lighting it up. And I think it just took him a couple of weeks to learn the terminologies. But I think that from a skill point, he was just built for this type of an offense.
Okay. But if you take him out of Seattle and put him on a different team, does he have the same output of stuff? Or is he now officially what we call a product of the system?
He's a system quarterback, I think. That's my opinion. And I sounds like you may agree. I think that just the fact that he was so well suited for this particular system, I think had a big part in the success that he's seeing right now.
You also keep in mind, too, he's been a serviceable backup to Russell Wilson, staying in Seattle for what? He's been in Seattle, 5-6 years now. Everyone forgot about him because he's just been sitting behind Russell Wilson.
Who?
Geno Smith. He's been in Seattle for about 5-6 years now. They keep re-signing him to these 1-2 year deals just to be a backup to Russell Wilson all this time.
Yeah.
Now you get rid of someone like Russ and you throw him in the fire.
So you guys, is this the turning point where he's the starter for a few years?
Maybe.
What's up, Gary? What's up, Gary?
I don't see how you don't keep him the starter after the year he's having this year. I mean, why not ride him? I mean, they've known all along that he suits the system. That's why they kept him around.
Like what you're saying, Ron. Yeah, I heard, yeah. You're saying, yeah.
So I think they'll ride him as long as he's performing at a high level, and they'll probably look to maybe late round, maybe this year, maybe draft a developmental guy and let him, help develop him and go from there.
Because he's 32 now. So say you ride him the next 3-4 years, I'll put him in his mid-30s.
Yeah.
So
I don't think he's a guy who's going to play till he's 40. That's not what he's built for.
No,
I mean, he's a guy who, has a certain skill set, and I think that after 35, he's probably going to be on the downside of that. So I think you've got a window of a couple years to take advantage of what he can give you, and let him help develop the next guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you want him to mentor a quarterback, just come to Philly. We're a quarterback factory after all, remember?
Yeah.
So
Minshew's our backup, right?
Correct.
Well, then the quarterback factory moved to Kansas City.
Yeah.
And Jacksonville.
Yeah, those two coaches can, yeah.
They're both quarterback whisperers.
But yes.
No, I think the Jaguars are going to be awesome in the years to come with him at the helm.
He's shown he has some good games now. He has bad games. Like that Baltimore game, he was lights out. Great.
No, I mean, I'm talking about him being coached. I think they're going to, each year now he's going to progress.
No, I agree. I'm just saying even this year he's progressed. He's had some bad games, but then he's had games that he's been on fire. So no matter what you look at it, some teams are going to take that step up, and then some teams are going to take that step down. Well, you need to find that happy medium.
Yeah, let him get through a couple training camps with Trevor, and watch where he goes from there. Because I think that there's opportunity there because he's got the raw skills. He just needs somebody to coach him up.
And Peterson's a great one to teach somebody up.
Yep.
Like I hate to say it, but look what he did with Wentz's rookie year. So,
thanks for stopping in, Pauline.
Yeah,
really
thank you, Paulina.
Thanks, Pauline. Here. Well, I was just going to ask you guys a question. Does Carson Wentz get another opportunity with another team to be their starting quarterback?
Absolutely not.
I agree with Ron.
I would say no, but there's going to be a team out there that maybe takes a look.
I think he gets a backup role with Best if he doesn't just retire after this contract.
You think it'll be okay.
I think he becomes a free agent. He doesn't find an offer that he deems as suitable, which, with his ego, if he's not going to be the starter and he's not in a situation where he doesn't see a path to being the starter, I think that there's always the option that he just goes out and goes hunting and calls it a career. I mean, I don't think he's a guy who's going to sit on the bench for 10 years.
Well, that's really shocking me about him. I'm sorry, Ron. I'm sorry.
It just doesn't seem like it's in his personality.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. He was really religious coming out of South Dakota. And everybody said, oh, he's a great team player and everything like that. But then after a few years of being with the Eagles, certain Eagles players had to go defend him about the locker room. So I think that he's not like a good teammate. I think that showed it early.
Yeah.
And then he went back to the guy that made him successful, and that wasn't good. And I agree, Ron, I agree. I don't know why he has such a big ego because he's been a failure everywhere else. So,
yeah, I think you hit it on the head, Mike. He's not a good teammate. Everywhere he's gone, that's been the knock on him. I mean, if he doesn't have the support of the rest of his team, he's not a guy who can lead a team as a starter.
And I'm glad we agree, Ron.
There's another high-end quarterback who was just recently drafted 2-3 years ago, very high in the draft, who now for 2 straight weeks has been inactive. Are the Jets officially moving on from Zach Wilson? Is this to put his foot in, get his butt in gear, or are they really leaning towards Michael White being the future of that team?
Pass it over to you, Ron.
I really don't know. I mean, they invested a lot in Wilson. I mean,
they gave up a lot to move up and get him too.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, but with the Jets organization, you just never know. You don't know what they're thinking because they're not very consistent in the front office. So, I mean, they've made some wacky decisions in the past, but I can't see them hanging their hat on Mike White.
Okay. Well, I would agree with you in a sense, but if you notice, though, that team is starting to maybe take that turn finally, now that Joe Douglas is the GM up there. You see what Joe Douglas did with Philly. Now he has a chance to show what he can do with the New York Jets. So I think you're starting to see that pendulum swing a little bit back around.
What I was going to say is, how is the Jets scouting department, for the draft, have gotten this many quarterbacks wrong? Is it the system and like you just said, Ron, the upheaval of the Jets that these quarterbacks are all failing coming in for the Jets, or is it just bad drafting?
Well, let me ask you a question though, Mike.
All right.
Right off the top of your head, name a good Jets coach.
In the past 20 years.
In the past 20 years.
Rex Ryan.
You'll be pressed to think of one.
Rex Ryan.
For one simple reason, because they do not invest in a decent coaching staff. And if they're not going to develop these players, they could draft every good player in the world. But if you don't have the coaching staff that can coach them up and can develop the system that fits their skill set, then it's a waste.
I gave you guys a name.
That has been the knock on the Jets for years. They just do not hire good coaches.
Do you remember Kotite, Ron?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got awful. But the question, Rex Ryan, I thought was a very good coach for the Jets.
Rex Ryan.
That's the first name that I said. I was like, yeah, Rex Ryan. He's the last good coach.
He was a guy who was a decent coach. But if you think of great coaches, there's only one Ryan that you think of, and it's not Rex.
But not Rob Ryan.
That would be Buddy Ryan.
I know who he means, Buddy Ryan. I was waiting for him to say it. Yeah, Buddy Ryan.
One of the greatest defensive minds that ever coached the game.
Now, I have a question. Why hasn't his second son, he gets hired everywhere, but he does a horrible job. How did he ever get the credentials to be hired by so many teams as a defensive coordinator?
Rob
Because
Ryan?
his last name's Ryan. That's why.
Yeah.
Strictly on name recognition.
Yep.
He's got the pedigree. They assume that he picked up some of his defensive mindset.
But teams have moved on from him very quickly. Like he'll last like 1-2 seasons and he's gone. Don't you think after all these releases that they'd finally catch on, Ron, or they're still going for that? Maybe he's got something.
You would think, but I mean, it's kind of like in baseball, the old boys network. They used to always say about coaches, where the same managers got hired over and over again. They just passed them around from team to team, and it's basically the same kind of situation, I think.
But no, you're right in every aspect because, well, Parcells was their coach for a while.
Yeah. But I think Parcells just went for the money. He had the power because he was also the GM as well.
Well, wasn't he trying to? It was Belichick that he said was going to be the next coach, right? And then something went haywire. He took the Browns job, or he took the Patriots job.
Browns first.
Browns first, and then Browns the Patriots. First, yeah.
So why didn't he move into that Jets role? I don't remember I remember it happening. I don't remember all the details of that. Do you remember John, Ron?
I don't remember any of the details about that whole transaction at all.
I just know it was crazy as hell.
Lisa wants to know this because Paulina said Eagles, Bills, Super Bowl. What about Kansas City?
Well, that's the next game we were going to move to. So
good segue.
Great segue. Bills and Eagles. Kansas City. That's a good question.
Kansas City, looked like they were unbeatable last year, and we all saw what happened. So, I think my personal opinion is, originally at the beginning of the year, I was on the Bills. I think Josh Allen is a great talent. I think that, he's got all the tools. And he really can't discount what Mahomes is doing right now because he's just putting up like amazing numbers. I mean, even after losing Tyreek Hill and they still don't miss a beat, you gotta say, hey, maybe they do got something going on there.
Mahomes magic, they call it. Mahomes magic.
Yeah. I mean, he's a talented guy. I mean, he's got Andy Reid, as a coach who basically gives him the freedom to be himself. And I think that you really can't discount Kansas City. I mean, to me, the Bills and Kansas City, if you ask me today, I would say 1A and 1B only because of the fact that Josh Allen, since the elbow injury, just hasn't seemed to have been the same. I mean, it looks like maybe he's still hurt or maybe he's just managing through some pain. And you're going to hear in the off season that he might have a surgery and they're not telling anybody. I don't know, but it just seems like his passing motion, his accuracy doesn't seem to have hurt too much, but it just seems like something's a little bit off about him and he just hasn't been performing at that same level he was in the beginning of the year.
Is their defense hurting because of the starters that are out? Because they had a dominant defense, but this year they've had some holes in it.
They've had a bunch of injuries on the defense, yeah. And I mean, they're just starting to get a couple of those guys back. So I think that as long as they get healthy going into the stretch, they don't necessarily have a punishing schedule down the stretch. I think that, there's a good chance that they can finish strong and just hang on. But again, I think that Lisa's right. And, you really can't count Kansas City out of it.
No, you can't. Well, by the way, Lisa, hold on real quick, John. Yes, Lisa, I try to talk about the Patriots very little because I hate Belichick. I despise the man. Okay. Just want to throw that in there.
Okay. Well, I got the standings up right now. So this is if the players were to start today, Buffalo would be the 1 seed, Kansas City 2, Baltimore 3, Tennessee 4, Cincinnati 5, Miami 6, and the New York Jets 7. So you would have Kansas City, Jets week in the wild card, Baltimore, Miami, and then Tennessee, Cincinnati. Buffalo would have a bye. Based off that, would we see a Buffalo KC AFC Championship game, or do you see another one of those 7 teams surprising somebody and making it that far? I think you have a rematch if the players were to start today.
Yeah, you better get the coin flip right this time.
Yeah, Lisa, they do keep winning games, though. Good point.
Yeah. Well, here's the Bills' remaining schedule. The Bills have the Jets this week. So they got the Jets at home, the Dolphins at home. Then they go to Chicago to play the Bears. Then they have the Bengals in Cincinnati. And they finish up with the Patriots at home.
That's a tough schedule. You don't think, Ron?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not big on the Patriots.
No, I'm not at all.
I mean, the Bengals, you and I had this conversation the other day, Mike. The Bengals are only as good as what, Burrow decides he's going to be given week to week, because he's been inconsistent all year. I mean, he comes out, he has a great game, and then he comes out the next game and he's flat as hell. So that's a quarter.
They're not.
You're good.
They're not the same, but they're not the same team at all. The Bengals.
Yeah.
Well, they had a lot of injuries to start the season, but now they're getting Jamar Chase back healthy. They should be able to consistent enough to at least be in the playoffs.
I think they definitely make it to the playoffs, but I just don't see that same level of intensity that they had in the Super Bowl year.
No, that's what I was going to ask. What happened to them? I don't. They look so dominant, and now they just don't look like the same team at all. To me, at least to me.
Well, that's called a Super Bowl hangover for a reason. So,
well, you said that because I thought the Bengals weren't going to make the playoffs the way they started. And
well, historically speaking, that could have been accurate.
Yeah.
That's happened so many times.
Like John was reminding me on several shows that's.
Well, like Mike was saying, look at the LA Rams this year. They go from winning it to what 3-7, 3-8.
I have no idea what happened to them.
And now Stafford bailed.
Yeah, and the worst part about the Rams too is they don't have draft picks. They have such a worst record. They would be in the top 5 picking this year, but they traded away all these assets. So whoever they traded, Denver might have their pick this year because of Von Miller trade. The Rams don't have any draft picks in the 4th round.
With Stafford, I think Ron was going to say something about Stafford's injury, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, he had the injury. I mean, that's, there's no doubt that he was injured, but,
Oh, you mean checked out mentally?
I think he literally said, I'm going to go have the surgery, put me on injured reserve because we're not going anywhere. I'm out.
Huh?
Okay, I misunderstood you, Ron. I apologize.
Yeah, I mean that's my belief anyway. I don't know that to be true, but it seems to me that he could have very easily, toughed it out and hung around and not had the surgery mid-season.
What do you think losing Odell Beckham Jr.? Well, if you lose Odell, Cooper Kupp, your quarterback, and you lose. You also lost. Von Miller, OBJ. Yeah, the Rams with those losses seem to be horrible.
Yep.
But they still have, even like the start of the season, though, they weren't all ready to go. They had talked Aaron Donald out of retirement. Like you lose OBJ to start the season, sure. We signed Von Miller. Like you invested too much in this super team that you couldn't afford to bring any of these guys back.
Yeah.
Do you think the Rams blow it up next year?
They have to.
They have to, but it's going to be hard to blow it up with no draft picks.
Or money.
True.
Or money. Yeah. I mean, they still on the hook for Stafford for another couple years.
Yeah.
I mean, Kupp will be back. Kupp will be back, but he was half their offense.
Oh, yeah, he was. How long Stafford's contract? How much is he making a year?
at least 35, 36. He's up there.
Wow. I didn't think he was getting paid that much.
Well,
yeah, he's somewhere just short of 40, I think.
Really?
A lot of these players a lot of these quarterbacks are now up in the upper echelon between 35 and 40 million a year, which is absolutely absurd. Because when you break down the aspect of it salary cap wise, just the quarterback alone is taking up 12 to 15% of your salary cap.
Yeah.
He signed an extension after the Super Bowl, 4 years, $160 million.
So,
wow.
Yeah,
keeping him in LA through 2026.
Now, if they won't release him, right? Because that size contract,
No,
you can't trade him. You can't trade him or anything like that.
No, because you'll take a dead cap hit of probably over $20 million.
Well, the Eagles with the releasing trading Wentz, even though they traded him, they took the dead cap this year. Yeah. I think he's still on our books this year for one more year. It came out to like $33.5 million.
Yeah,
it was the highest dead cap hit ever.
Do you guys remember when Oswalt left Denver and then he got that huge contract from Houston? Like, was Houston paying part of his salary? I mean, was the 49ers paying him?
Denver, you mean?
Denver, sorry. His contract, were they ever paying him? Were they paying part of that salary, of that huge package?
Possible.
Or was he a true free agent? I don't remember. Ron?
I think he was.
I don't remember.
John?
Off the top of my head.
I would have to look too.
Yeah.
But that's like the problem with the NFL nowadays. A lot of teams aren't doing that. Like other sports, you see, okay, we're going to trade you this guy, but we're going to retain 60% of his salary. In the NFL, you don't get that much.
No.
Oh, okay.
Because the salary cap being so tight in the NFL.
Yeah, when you see that kind of a deal go down, it's usually to prevent the other team from feeling the impact too bad of the dead money.
Yeah.
If there's a signing bonus that they still owe the player, sometimes they kind of find a way to work it into the contract where they get to, satisfy some of that in exchange for the player renegotiating the contract to have a lesser cap hit in the early years of the contract when they're still on the hook for some dead money.
See, that reminds me of baseball. Albert Bell's contract and
Bobby Bonilla.
Bobby Bonilla Day.
Yeah. Are they still paying him now?
Yes.
Still? Bobby Bonilla.
Yes.
How do you sign? First off, why was that contract structured like that?
Because Bobby Bonilla is a genius.
Pretty much. That's an easy way to put it. Yeah.
So how much does he get paid a year?
1.5 million
every year. For how long?
Hang on, I got it.
Yeah, here it goes. Look it up, Ron.
He gets $1.2 million every July 1st through 2035.
I'm sorry, that's hysterical to me.
No, it is.
And the Mets released him in 1999.
They broke it down over the course of what?
Was that to help the team at the time? To defer all that money?
Maybe.
I think so. I think they were having some. It was because it was the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme that the Mets owners got. Basically lost all their money. They were millionaires, and they all lost millions and millions of dollars in the Ponzi scheme with Bernie Madoff. So, in order to not drive them into bankruptcy, they structured this contract this way so that they could,
defer
space
the interest.
the money that they owed him out over a period of time to recover financially from the big hit they took.
At least it's right. No,
it's ridiculous.
No further comment on that one.
And if you need
Albert Bell, sorry,
if
Ron.
you need an agent, his name is Dennis Gilbert. So he's the one that came up with that contract. So if you need an agent for something, sign him up.
Dennis Gilbert, right?
Now isn't Albert Bell also on a huge contract still paying him?
I think that one finally ended, if I'm not mistaken, a couple years back.
Oh, okay. Because I know he was getting paid for a while.
But all over social media, every July 1st, I always say, "Oh, happy Bobby Bonilla Day."
Yep.
I don't know if you guys know. I'm gonna throw this out there. And never mind. I forgot.
Oh boy,
I hate when I forget shit.
quarter.
Yeah.
I heard that.
No, I was gonna. I forget now. Damn it.
But no, the Rams are in big trouble. They got to blow the team up, but they have no cap room and they have no draft picks to help build that team. Because even if you trade some top-notch players, you're still going to be on the hook.
I'm going to throw this out. It's with the NBA. Fila, the one that Iverson had, Fila deal, right? Fila was worried about the amount of money they were paying him, about him blowing it. And they set aside $30 million for him. That started, I think, not right after, but it was right after, a couple of years after, that they pay him because he was bankrupt, basically. But this Fila deal keeps him having great money. I forget how many years it's for, but it was $30 million that they, in a shoot contract, that kind of knew the future. You remember that deal, Ron?
No, I really don't recall that.
Wow, nobody knows but me.
No.
If you look it up, I'm telling the truth, guys.
Oh, I believe it.
You and Ron are calling me liars.
Nope.
No, not at all.
Nike parted ways with Kyrie Irving today. I read that.
Good. Irving's a piece of garbage.
So
play basketball, head case. He's a flat earther. I hope Ron's not a conspiracy guy.
No, not me.
Flat earther. He goes through all that stuff, and then he writes his anti-Semitic crap. But the funny thing is, Kanye West thing goes out. It says Adidas will never cut me. So I could say the word something anti-Semitic. What they do the very next day? Dropped him $1.5 billion contract with them, and it's over now. That's hysterical to me.
Oh,
$1.5 billion. You know how much money? I mean, it's a shitload of money, and you just blew it.
Huh?
For being cocky.
Some of these people don't care.
It's like, dude, how do you lose $1.5 billion? Keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything that's like that.
Thanks for tuning in, Lisa. We appreciate the support.
Thanks, Lisa. Loved having you. You're awesome.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, we're pushing about 2 hours ourselves, so.
Oh, yeah, we are.
See what happens when you have a fun show, interactive.
I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
This is how every Monday goes this way.
I hope. Should. Okay, one more game we haven't talked about. What did you guys think of the Raiders-Chargers game? I mean, what has happened with the Raiders? I mean, other than the head coach drama, which obviously hurt, why are they... Night, Ken. Thanks for coming.
Off to Oz, yes. Home sweet home.
That's it. Nice to have you, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.
So
what did you guys think of that game? I mean, the Raiders have imploded.
Again, a team that went for it all is going to come up short. You invest a lot of money in bringing in Devontae Adams. Sure, he's putting up the numbers, but now your defense isn't doing nothing.
He's their only offensive weapon. Nobody else does anything on that team.
Yeah.
Well, that's their fault.
But they were expected to be good this year.
They were, yes.
But no. Horrible.
Well, that's what they get for letting Nelson Aguilar go.
I mean, he was only out there one. No, he's not lying. He was only out there 1 year, but he had a very productive one season out with the Raiders.
Isn't Aguilar in Boston now?
Yep.
Yeah, he's on the Patriots.
No, but Ron's right though. Like you bring somebody like Nelson Aguilar in. Sure, it's only a 1 year deal, but he produced that 1 year.
Yeah.
Where did Jeffries go?
He just retired.
Oh, he retired after leaving us?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Another ex-Eagle wide receiver is down in Las Vegas too. Mac Hollins.
Yeah.
You see his name pop.
Isn't
he had a couple good games this year?
Huh?
Wasn't Greger on a team too that we used to have? God, the wide receiver that we got rid of.
Rager?
Yeah, Rager.
He's in Minnesota.
Jalen Rager. Yeah.
How's he doing in Minnesota? I don't know. I know Jeffries, but I don't know.
He's not doing much. They had him doing punt returns.
Yeah, he's getting maybe two, 3 punts a game. That's it.
Yeah.
But you think the charge? Oh, sorry, John.
No, Rager's just their 4th wide receiver in Minnesota, And Minnesota runs a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, so he barely ever gets on the field.
So do you see a future for the Raiders?
For the Raiders or Vikings?
No, I'm sorry. Back to the Raiders for a minute. The Vikings, they're going to make the playoffs and everything. I'm saying, do you think the Raiders are done, or are they finished? Like they were picked to make the playoffs. Do you guys think that this is going to be the way it is now that they're not what they thought? Or are they going to make more high-profile moves to try to fill in the holes that they need?
I think the biggest one that you might see this offseason, Derek Carr get shipped out. I think they're ready to move on from Derek Carr already.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know. It really depends on the supporting cast around him. I mean, I don't know that. I don't think Matt Collins is your answer. I mean, he's got about 560 yards this year and maybe 6 touchdowns.
Something like that, but
yeah, maybe they make some investment on the offensive side of the ball. I know that they've drafted defense in a couple of drafts.
Yeah, but they've also let some of those defensive players walk.
Right, and then tried to backfill them with draft picks, which hasn't really worked out.
They got rid of Mack, right?
Yep, Khalil Mack with the Chargers now.
What was the receiver they lost?
Didn't
the Raiders lose one of their good wide receivers
this year?
Is it Amari Cooper?
Cooper, yeah. Cooper.
That's who. Okay, that's who was on.
He's been in Dallas for a couple years now, though.
Yeah,
he can't really call that recent.
That was where he was before he went to Dallas, though.
Yeah, I got that right.
Yeah.
So, are the Chargers a playoff team then?
Not this year.
It's 6-6.
I don't think this year. No. I think Herbert fell short of expectations this year.
Well, he's also been playing that rib injury since week 4 of the season. So
they had some injuries as well.
He'll be back though.
Who's the Chargers' backup quarterback?
Chase Daniel.
Who was who played for Andy Reid in Kansas City.
Yep.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And in Philly too, for that one year.
Yeah, Philly also, yeah. He was a backup.
He's a very small quarterback. I think he's literally like 6 foot on the nose. So Chase Daniels is what you call a career backup quarterback.
Dude, I can't believe Doug Flutie could throw as short as he was.
He's Coy Detmer on steroids.
I used to see, no, seriously. He used to be so small when he was with Buffalo.
Who, Flutie?
And Flutie. Doug Flutie.
Don't.
But he could still pass at that height.
Dude. Okay.
What? He could.
I went to the University of Miami. Do you really think I want to hear the name Doug Flutie?
Really? Yeah, you don't want to hear that.
You know how much money I lost on that game? On that flipping Hail Mary, for God's sakes. Wait, and he had his eyes freaking closed on.
Now we know why he lives in a closet, Mike. Now it all makes sense.
That's right.
Now.
I lost all my money on the Miami and Boston College.
We'll put $10 million up.
Yeah.
Well, no, that sucks, dude.
At least you got a comfortable closet, so.
Yeah. Yep.
It was that say didn't Michigan? Wasn't Michigan playing Colorado, and they had the Michigan guy threw a Hail Mary that won the game as well.
This year?
No, a while ago. Talking
a while
90s.
Ago.
Yeah, 90s.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
At some point, I don't
that
recall
was a big
that
upset
particular
at the
play.
time.
I'm so haunted by the Miami play that I just just
I've watched the video on that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell he made that throw. But
every time Flutie was on television, they replayed that flipping play.
They always do. It's one of the top plays in college football history.
Yeah, thank God that he's not announcing anymore, because then I don't have to see it anymore.
Well, what I say was he's short.
Flutie.
He's just short for a quarterback. I'm just saying I can't imagine how he was effective throwing the ball as small as he was. That's all I'm saying.
Well, there's a lot of small quarterbacks that have been effective. Jalen Hurts is only 6 foot. Drew Brees was only 6 foot.
They're 6 foot. Yeah, they're not 5'9" though, dude. 5'8", 5'9".
He's not that small, is he?
Drew Brees.
No, Doug Flutie not 5'8".
No, I said 5'9". I just said 5'8" now, but I think it's 5'9". I don't think he's that tall.
I'm gonna look it up. Hold on.
Do the Raiders have any good draft picks, Ron, to be able to? He's 5'10".
Yep.
Still short.
He's listed at 5'10".
Short. Ron, do the Raiders have draft picks? Can they fill this if they decide to go with Derek Carr? John as well?
I think they
have
do.
Picks? The Raiders have the correct picks? Or are they at the farm on the players they have?
No, I think they have flexibility. I wouldn't say how much. Plus, you have a owner who came up through the ranks of his father, Al Davis and Mark Davis. So Mark Davis isn't going to be afraid to move players if he has to. His father is the same exact way.
Okay.
So,
all right,
and they have a first-year head coach in Josh McDaniel. So you are going to give him at least one more go around to see if he can turn this around. So you're going to give him the full opportunity to have that full offseason to try to bring in people that he wants to bring in. A first-year head coach really doesn't have that much, I guess you can say, luxury to try to recruit players. But I think they can turn it around.
I have another question. How come the Steelers, they live and die by their coaches until they're ready to go?
That's just
longevity. Why don't other teams do that though?
Because there's no other team.
The Rooneys, the Rooneys are a special breed. I mean, they've only had in their franchise history, 4 coaches, 5.
And they found success. Found success with most of them.
But
all of them. I think all of them.
Because they trusted them to make the right decisions, and they gave them everything they asked for.
Yeah.
Well, why don't other teams do that?
No, most teams don't do that because you get general managers with big egos who say they have to be calling the shots. That's why these coaches go in and they, the coaches that are high profile coaches like your, Andy Reid's, who have the power to say, okay, you want me to come there? Okay, I get to be the GM too.
Yeah.
Because then I can pick who I want to pick, and I'm not going to get interference from a general manager who's just feeding their ego.
Yep.
So Andy Reid has a similar deal.
Yeah.
He did in Philly for a long time.
Yep.
I think that he has a lot of he has Carl Peterson. He had Carl Peterson in Kansas City as his general manager, and they were joined at the hip. So he pretty much could do whatever he wanted to do when Carl was there. I think Carl has since retired, so I don't think he's a current general manager. But I think the ownership at this point has just kind of said, hey, look, Andy's calling the shots. You're going to have the title, Mr. GM, but, Andy has final say.
Philly tried that.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, Philly tried that a couple years ago with Chip Kelly, and it became a very toxic environment. Chip Kelly thought he was all good and gravy. Now you got someone like Nick Sirianni in Philly who just worries about coaching, and you let Howie and Jeffrey do what they got to do. Nick's just your player's coach.
2012 was a joke because what's his name said, the quarterback, can't remember his name, said that they were a dream team.
Rich Young.
Why would you say that, dude?
Because, he wasn't lying. They spent so much money that year because it was the first year under the new CBA, so there's no salary cap. So the Eagles just spent like crazy trying to win a Super Bowl, and it blew up in their face.
Yeah,
but he was able to get more success out of Nick Foles than any other coach.
Not true. I think
true.
I think Nick Foles did pretty well under Doug Peterson.
Yeah, he did decent.
I got a trophy that says that.
I do too.
I totally don't mean what I'm saying. You totally don't get what I'm saying.
Okay, go ahead.
He had the 27-2. I get it. He had 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, he had success.
You have a tattoo too, Ron?
I do not.
One of my friends has Nick Foles down his arm. The whole 2017 championship.
It's my tramp stamp. I just don't show it to people.
You guys never agree with what I'm saying.
The Raiders are in line currently for the number 2 pick.
But isn't this a weak quarterback?
Houston's
coming up.
There's 2 or 3 frontline quarterbacks in this draft. I don't know that they'll draft a quarterback in the first round.
Okay. Who's got the number 1 pick?
Houston.
Yeah, who are they going to draft?
Quarterback.
As of right now, the number 4 pick belongs to the Eagles via New Orleans.
We have the number 4 pick.
Yes.
Because we have the Saints first round pick.
Because we have the Saints first round pick.
So now we can pick a really good guy. I mean, our really talented. At 4, you could really get somebody.
We have 2 first round picks this year coming up.
Yeah, we have ours and the Saints.
We have ours and we have the Saints.
What's ours?
Well, as of right now, probably 32nd.
After we win the Super Bowl, yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, wait. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, since you're looking at it, it would be 31 because Miami forfeits their first round pick this year because of that whole scandal with Brian Flores deal.
Yeah, the losing scandal.
Yes.
So do you think? Wait, losing scandal? You mean by throwing games?
Yes.
Yeah, where the ex-coach accused him of tanking on purpose, telling him to lose games so that they improve their draft pick.
So they sandbagged it.
Yeah, so they made Miami forfeit their first round pick this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Now, if the Eagles win the championship, what do you do with those 2 picks? Reload or trade them away for future assets?
If I'm the Philly, okay, I keep at least one of them. You keep at least one pick, and then I would move back. If you keep your pick at 32, I would try to move that number 4, number 5 pick, whatever it's going to be, back, get another asset, and fall into the mid-tier, the teams, like 10 through 15.
I think they have 2 second-round picks, too.
Yeah. There's a kid I want that just declared for the draft who, if you don't re-sign James Bradbury, can come back in day 1 and be your starting outside cornerback, and that's Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State.
Okay.
I love Penn State. I know a lot about Penn State.
I think Joey Porter is between 10 and 15. So if you can get in that bracket, you can get someone like Porter Jr. in here, and he could be a day 1 starter.
That's my team. I've been a Penn State fan all my life.
Mine too. That's why I said.
I think they're going to resign.
How are those? Hey, Ron, how were those 6 interceptions feel to you?
Yeah, for sure.
You know I know.
I think for sure they're going to re-sign Bradbury. So
the question is though, at how much? Because you're already paying him $10 million this year. If you bring him back next year, you're looking at 12 to 15 million.
Well, just remember, Fletcher Cox is going to come off the books. There's other guys that are going to become. Kelsey's going to come off the books.
Kelsey, if Kelsey doesn't retire, he'll re-sign with the Phillies.
I think that he's finally going to retire this time. I think that he's
still good though,
even though he's playing at a high level. I just if they win the Super Bowl, he retires on top.
All right, yeah, I think so.
Because I think that they, bringing in the kid that they drafted,
Cam Jurgens. That's what
Cam Jurgens. I think by next year, and a good solid training camp, I think he's a guy that can step in and not really have too much of a drop off. There'll be some obviously because Kelsey's just off the charts, but
Kelsey,
I think he's got a lot of the same skill set.
Yes, and Kelsey vouched for someone like Cam Jurgens
to
come in and replace him.
Oh, so he wanted that pick, that guy.
Kelsey handpicked him.
He's the best center in the draft last year, hands down.
Well, he's definitely learning from him. Yes. Also, being behind.
So I think I agree with John. I think that we trade out of that 4. We maybe get maybe drop back and get a lower 1, or even drop down to get maybe multiple picks. Since we have 2 2s, and then I think we got to draft a defensive tackle. With the tackles getting a little long in the tooth. With Fletch, definitely being done after this year. Graham is probably not going to get re-signed. So I think that there's some defensive holes that they're going to have to fill. I think they're going to have to, look at a couple other positions, but I think that they definitely should focus this year on maybe replacing some of those older defensive guys, and then re-up guys like Johnson and Bradbury.
Hurts
now
is Hurts on his third or fourth year of his 5-year contract.
I think third.
Yeah, I think he's still got 2.
So my question, I'm not 100% sure without looking at a list. Is Javon Hargrave locked in for 1 more year? Is this it? Because if that's it, you re-sign him to like a 2-year deal again.
Okay, God forbid we don't win the Super Bowl because we're going to make it. Knock on every wood I got around here. Do you think they don't trade the picks then? They keep them?
I would still move at least 1 and try to get more assets.
See, 4 is the one I would trade.
Yeah, because 4 you can get the more 4.
How did we get that pick from? How did we get that from New Orleans?
What was it? It was some crazy trade.
Ron, do you remember it all?
I'm looking it up.
I think it's when we swapped draft picks last year.
Hargrave had a 3-year, $39 million contract, including an 11.75 signing bonus, 25.5 guaranteed, average annual salary of $13 million.
So he's done after this year.
So he's a free agent next year.
Do we resign him, guys?
I wouldn't be opposed to it.
I wouldn't either. If you can get him back,
you get him at a decent price.
Yeah, 2-3 years. You can have him and Jordan Davis as your inside, and you have Milton Williams still waiting in the wings. So
yeah, and you got Jacoby Dean in the middle. You got TJ.
Yeah,
and then you got a solid secondary.
All right. Well, now the biggest thing is if you move forward into Jacoby Dean, they try to bring back Kaiser White. Was a 1 year and done with him in Philly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to see. I had to see a few more games out of Dean. I mean, I saw some of the stuff he did in college. I want to see if he can do it consistently at the pro level, and then I think that should be the deciding factor on what they do up the middle there, because I think that they've got all the other pieces on that defense that are pretty solid. But the one position that the Eagles have always been short-sighted on has been linebacker. So
yeah,
I think that they definitely need to look at making sure that they lock down TJ Edwards and that they have Dean develop at a rate where he can continue to contribute.
I agree.
No, actually, yeah. I was going to ask you guys a freaking question. I got to have to think what it is now.
To answer your question, Mike, they made a big trade last April for the New Orleans.
That's what I was going to ask. That's right. How did we get the Saints picks?
So the Eagles traded the 16th and 19th overall picks, along with the 6th round pick and the 2022 draft for 5 draft picks from the Saints, which was the 18th overall, which they wound up trading anyway, a 3rd round pick last year, a 7th last year, then the first round pick this coming year, and a 2nd round in 2024. So they traded 2 firsts and got 2 ones back.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Every year they want Roseman to. We talked about this thing last week. They always want They always want his head. They want to get him. But like Ron said, then the next year he does something wonderful and everyone's back aboard.
Yeah, pretty much.
Every time.
Welcome to Philly. It's the Janet Jackson mentality. What have you done for me lately?
Pretty much.
That's funny, Ron said that.
But I think it's time to wrap the show up, fellas. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you hopping in tonight. You can go back in your closet now. But no, it was a very good show. We had 13 reactions tonight, which is
First time.
A record for this show. We had at least 13 people in here at one time. So I guess we have to have them back.
Yeah, we definitely need it.
Hey, absolutely. Anytime, guys. I had a great time. I hope I didn't overstep.
No, your knowledge is incredible. I think me and you going back and forth with Mike is a good trio mix. So it's always nice to have a third voice in here so you can get another perspective when there's an uneven amount on one side compared to another side. So to have a
Ron didn't like anything I said tonight. So what am I
That's not
supposed to do?
true.
He said I was wrong.
I agree
liar.
with you a lot of times. You just
Liar.
lost me at Doug Flutie, man.
Sure. That's
My-
funny.
My friend Gary says thank you. So
Ron, I just heard that.
Thanks, Gary.
That is funny.
but,
Gary, yes, he was freaking awesome though.
yeah, but thanks everyone who popped in the show. I'll be back on tomorrow night for my lovely wacky entertainment night with another guest host tomorrow night. Since Morgan
We have to go bowl
won't be
tomorrow.
on. Mike will be at the bowling alley. Ron will be locked in his closet again. So
All good.
But you guys might see me Wednesday at the bowling alley. I'm off Wednesday, so.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
But until then, you guys have anything else you would like to say?
Thanks everybody for everything.
Well, thanks everybody for coming in. Thank you guys, Mike and John. I had a great time, and I'm honored to be a part of this because I think you guys do a great job.
Thanks, Ron.
We're trying to grow the show every single week, so
means a lot to me. Yeah. Thanks, Ron.
So everyone have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one.
Good night.
Sweet.